Good morning students. Today we are on to the next video of coordination compounds class 12. In the last video we have discussed about valence bond theory. Okay, that explains hybridization, magnetic properties, inner outer orbital complexes. The next theory which we are going to discuss today is crystal field theory. But before we study crystal field theory, we will just discuss about certain limitations of valence bond theory. So what are the limitations, children? See, main limitations. First I'll take the general ones, then I'll take with reference to copper. It involves lot of assumptions. These are all limitations of valence bond theory. It involves lot of assumptions. This theory doesn't explain the color exhibited. What color coordination compounds have some particular color. This theory gives no explanation for it. Does not make exact predictions for tetrahedral and square planar complexes. So there are certain variations. What we discuss according to valence bond theory sometimes doesn't come true. So we'll take one particular example of such type. See, we have discussed about this and the 7 steps which we follow to find out the inner outer orbital, the hybridization and all that. Suppose you have this complex. So first step what we do is we calculate, write down the configuration of central atom. Then we find out what is the ion, the oxidation state, it is 2 plus. So that we write it as 3D9. So in the box form, children, if we write this is 3D9, we will write the configuration like this. Then there are 4 pairs of ligands. The ligands are 4 ligands are coming, and these 4 ligands are bringing 4 pairs of electron towards the central metal ion. So when it is getting those electron as expected per VBT is the 4 pairs of the electrons which the ligand is bringing is accommodated in 4s and 4p, right? Because this, though the ligand is strong, it will not be able to pair up because there is only one electron here. So the 4s and 4p orbitals get occupied by the electrons of ligand as expected by VBT. But as per the X-ray studies, it is found that this particular complex is not tetrahedral, because if this is the case, then it is sp3. sp3 means the shape should have been tetrahedral, but it is found to be square planar. This particular complex is found to be square planar. So what was the description given, the explanation given for it is that this d electron which is there here, that unpaired electron, is shifted to 4p. This electron is shifted to 4p. So this d is vacated. This d is vacated and the electrons of the ligands are occupied in d. So d is p2 and that unpaired electron goes to 4p. Okay, so this was as per the X-ray studies the structure concluded for this particular complex. Likewise, there are certain variations, as discussed by valence bond theory, we do not get the structure, mainly for tetrahedral and square planar complexes, right? Now, let us see, talk about crystal field theory. This theory could explain these aspects which were the limitations of VBT. Okay, now first let us see what are the main points of crystal field theory. The first point is the metal and ligand, they form ionic bond. Whereas according to VBT, what did we say? That metal and ligand form coordinate covalent bond. The ligand was giving a pair of the electron to the central metal atom. Right, and according to this, there is a ionic bond between the metal and ligand. They are purely held by electrostatic forces of attraction. There are electrostatic forces of attraction between them. Electrostatic forces of attraction are holding the ligand, the metal atom and metal ion and ligand. Okay, and this is one point, children. The next point according to this is the ligands, they are treated as point charges. These are treated as point charges in case the ligands are anions. In case they are anions, they are treated as point charges, and they are treated as dipoles in case it's a neutral molecule. In case the ligand is a neutral molecule, it is treated as the dipole. Right? Now, what exactly happens, we are going to discuss in two different types of complexes which we have in our syllabus. Number one is octahedral complexes. What happens in octahedral complexes? In octahedral complexes, how does the splitting occur? That we are going to discuss, children, just now. Okay? Now, what is an octahedral complex? We know it is square planar. That means, suppose there is central metal atom here and the ligands are here. This is square, and then you have bipyramidal. We say square bipyramidal is octahedral complex. So these ligands here, if you just extend the lines here, these are something like, the x-axis and y-axis and z-axis. That means we can say the ligands are approaching, they are coming closer to the central metal atom. When the ligands are approaching the central metal ion, then they are coming along the axis. When they are coming along the axis, and that is happening only in octahedral complexes, when they are coming along the axis, the electrons of the central metal ion which are present along the axis, will face more repulsion. Now let us see which orbitals are there in D. You have dxy orbital, dyz orbital, dxz orbital, then you have dz square and dx square minus y square. Right? Now we have studied the shapes of these orbitals. This dxy, dyz and dxz, these are those orbitals in which the lobes are present in between the axes. Like we say, dxy, the lobes are in between x and y axis. Yz, the lobes are in between y and z. Xz, the lobes are in between x and z. Then what about these? These are those orbitals, this is that particular set in which the lobes are present along the axis. What is dz square? We have studied that two lobes are present along the z axis and there is a ring of the high electron density. This is what you draw. Yes, the electron density is there along x and y plane. Along z axis you have the electrons, right? The two lobes, and this is the ring of the electron density. And what is dx square y square? Suppose I mark this as x and this as y. The lobes are along x axis and y axis. This is this one. So these two are such orbitals in which the lobes are present along the axis. So when lobes are present along the axis, ligands are also approaching the central metal ion along the axis. So these orbitals will face more repulsion. That means their energy level will rise and this energy level will lower. Okay, why it is happening? Because the d orbital, that is of central metal ion, contains electrons. Ligand is also bringing electrons. So electrons of central metal ion and the electrons of the ligands will repel. So since there is repulsion between the two, the d orbital splits into two sets. Okay, this is called as crystal field splitting or DD splitting. How it splits? I'll just draw the figure and explain. See, this is how the splitting will occur. This is the central metal atom d orbitals. Okay, that is when the ligands have not approached. This is how the energy level has increased. This is how the energy has increased. When the ligands start approaching the central metal atom, ligands start coming. When they bring electrons, that is in octahedral only. This is octahedral we are talking about. The d orbital energy level rises. It first goes up. And when they come still closer and they form a bond with the central metal atom, that time the d orbital will split into two. So the lower set, which is containing three orbitals, which three orbitals? dxy, dyz and dxz. Till here it is degenerate orbital. Degenerate orbital means they are having same energies, right? But when the ligand comes the electrons of the ligand and the central metal ion, they start repelling and the d splitting occurs, and the upper one is dx square y square and dz square, right? And this splitting which has taken place between the two, okay, till here you can mark this splitting which has taken place, because this is the energy gap we are marking between these two. Actually it is between the two. So this is what delta O. What is this delta O? We call this delta O as octahedral splitting. This is octahedral splitting. Octahedral splitting means the splitting that is taking place in octahedral complexes. This lower set has three, orbitals in it. 3 orbitals. So when 3 orbitals are there in this is particularly called as T2G set. It is called as T2G, triply degenerate. It is triply degenerate set, right? The upper one is containing 2 orbitals. It is doubly degenerate. It is doubly degenerate, right? And from here, this particular line, this is called as barycenter. This is called as barycenter. And if you check this difference is 3 by 5 of delta O. Whatever is the total delta O, 3 by 5 of delta O is the upper one. And the lower one, this lower one is 2 by 5 of delta O. The lower one, this is 2 by 5, the upper one is 3 by 5. The upper slip is increasing, so we can write it as plus also. The lower one is decreasing, we can write minus also. Some books you will find the upper one, children, they write it as 0.6 of delta O. The lower one, they also write it as 0.4 delta O. Okay, so this part is clear. Why this has gone up? Dz square, dx square, y square, and this triply degenerate comes down. The upper set which is doubly degenerate is called as EG set. It is called as EG set. So 2 sets are there, EG and T2G. Clear till here? Now, suppose the splitting is more than the pairing energy. Now what is pairing energy? We say delta O, that is octahedral splitting, if it is greater than P. Now what is P? I said it is pairing energy. It means it is the energy required for pairing of electrons in single orbital. Now what do we mean by this? I'll explain it just now. If the delta O splitting is more, means the energy gap is more than the pairing energy, then what will happen? I'll just explain it separately. See, this is the lower one, children, we have discussed, and this is the EG set, right? Now we are saying this gap is more. When the gap is more, electrons start coming. Suppose we are filling in the electrons in the d orbital. How will the electrons be filled? So one electron will go, it will obey Hund's rule. One electron will go, second electron in the next orbital, third electron in the next orbital, fourth will not be able to jump to the next one because the gap is more, the delta O is more. Pairing energy is less, so it will start pairing up here. Fourth electron will go here, fifth electron will go here, sixth will go, and the seventh one will go up, eighth will go here, then ninth, and then 10th. Did you follow this? So how it is going to be filled? The first electron will be going into T2G1. This is the lower set, children. This is T2G. So the first electron will go to T2G1. Then the next electron will go to the next orbital, not filled here. Hund's rule, because these three are same, triply degenerate, means these three orbitals have same energy. When these three have the same energy, the electrons will be filled in this first. Because the gap is more, it will not jump there. So the next electron will come here. So you have to understand this way only. Although the next electron, I will write it as T2G2, but in the diagram you can understand better. In this orbital, first electron will go here, second electron will go in the next orbital, third will go here, then fourth one back here. then 5th, and then 6th. 7th one will go this side, then 8, 9 and 10. Did you follow that? So we'll write T2G1, T2G2, T2G3, T2G4, T2G5, T2G6, T2G7, T2G8, T2G9, T2G10. Did you follow this? Okay, this is the case when we discuss that delta O is greater than delta P. Now in case it is reverse, then if suppose you have delta O lesser than P, then suppose children you have delta O lesser than lesser than P. That means this gap which we were talking about, children, this is triply degenerate. We are still continuing with octahedral complexes. So this is T2G set, this is EG set, right? We are talking about where this is less, means the gap is less than the pairing energy. This is of course barycenter. I have just drawn it separately to explain it. This splitting is less. First electron, observe carefully. Second electron, third electron, fourth electron, fifth electron, sixth electron, seventh, eighth, 9, 10. Why like that? Pairing energy was more, it could not pair up these orbitals. Which electrons we are pairing up? The electrons which are there in d orbital. The electrons which are there in d orbital, those electrons we are pairing up, depending upon the type of the ligand. The ligand, if it is strong or weak, will cause the splitting. Got it? The splitting may be more or it may be less depending upon what type of ligand we are considering, children. Another thing, children, here, what we discussed here, that the electrons are first occupied here, 1, 2, 3. So what is the configuration we write here? T2G1, T2G2, T2G3, T2G4, T2G5, T2G6, then T2G6, EG1, T2G7, EG1, like that it will be T2G1, T2G2, T2G3, T2G4, T2G5, T2G6. After that T2G6, EG1, T2G6, EG2, because this will be 6 then, and EG1, EG2, EG3, EG4, it will go on filling, right? So where the delta O was greater than P, then this type of complexes are called as low spin complexes. Why they are low spin complexes? The lower orbitals are being filled. And when does this occur? When the ligand is strong. When the ligand is strong, then the gap will be more. When the gap is more, the lower orbital will be filled. Then the EG will start filling up. What about the next one, children? What we discussed here? Where we said that delta O is lesser than P. Okay, so when it is less, 1, 2, 3, that is T2G1, T2G2, T2G3, T2G4, T2G3, EG1, T2G3, EG2, right? Then T2G4, EG2, T2G5, EG2, T2G6, EG2. Did you follow that? So such type of complexes are called as high spin complexes. On this basis, now we are going to decide whether they have unpaired electrons or not. Because earlier when we were filling electrons according to the degenerate orbitals, it was different. Now according to this, the number of the unpaired electrons are different and the properties also will change. So which ligands are strong or which ligands are weak, about that we have already discussed in the previous video. You can note down also. This is the order. This is the order of increasing field strength. I minus, Br minus, Sc minus, Cl minus, sulfide, fluoride, OH minus, oxalate, water, then you have NCS, EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetate ion. This is ammonia, En is for ethylene diamine. These names we have already discussed. Cyanido, carbonyl group. Okay. So I hope you have followed this. Now let's also discuss about tetrahedral complexes. The only difference between tetrahedral and octahedral complexes is the splitting is reverse. That's it. This is the D or D metal ion, that is the free ion, D orbital of the metal ion, D orbital of the metal ion. So when the ligand starts coming in the tetrahedral complex form, then the energy level of the d orbital rises. This is called as the average energy of the d orbital in spherical crystal field. So it rises up. When it rises up, further the ligands will come and get attached according to the tetrahedral form. Then it will split into a reverse manner. That is EG set. EG set means d z square, d x square y square, and the T2G is dxy, dyz and dxz. Why? Because the tetrahedral arrangement. What is tetrahedral arrangement, children? What is the angle between the different orbitals? It is 109 degree 28 minutes. So that means the lobes of the d orbital which are in between the axis will face more repulsion, because the ligands are coming in between the axis. Got it? Suppose this is the central metal atom, and how are the ligands coming? This is one ligand, this is the second, this is the third ligand. The ligands are coming like this. And what is the angle here? 109 degree 28 minutes. Okay, the ligand is coming like that. And those orbitals which are in between, which orbitals are in between the axis? dxy, dyz and dxz. So these orbitals which are in between the axis will face more repulsion, and the orbitals which are along the axis will face less repulsion. So their energy comes down. Okay, so this is the reverse in tetrahedral complexes. And what will be this delta T? Delta T, that is tetrahedral splitting. This is tetrahedral splitting. And what is this energy gap, children, here? This energy gap from the Barry center, what we have marked earlier, it will be the same. For EG, it is always 3. 3 by 5 of delta T, we will say now. And what is this gap from here, upper side? This gap is 2 by 5 of delta T. Clear? This is increasing, and this one EG is decreasing in this case. It is the reverse in this case. Did you follow this? And one more thing, children, tetrahedral splitting is found to be 4 by 9 of octahedral splitting. This is important. You can just think over it, why it is tetrahedral splitting is 4 by 9 of octahedral splitting. Because in octahedral, you can see how the ligands are approaching. Compare it. Fine. So please mark this in your copy and write it in your notes. Now another thing here, the same way as we discussed in the octahedral complexes, you will have if delta T is greater than P, or you have delta T lesser than P. You can fill in the electrons in the similar manner as we have discussed. In case the gap is more or it is less than the pairing energy, how you are going to fill in the electrons. You can try this on your own. Once you have understood the octahedral complexes properly, I think this also you will be able to follow. I hope you have understood the crystal field theory properly. Some more applications of this and questions we are going to discuss in the next video. Thank you for watching.